All right, y'all. Welcome to Monday Productivity Call. I'm your host, Jason Will, Blueprint Realty Company. Welcome, Teresa. Hello. Oh my goodness. Thanks
I
for joining
know.
us. So what I had planned for today is just to really revisit the fundamentals. What should we be concentrating on? What should we be focusing on to really move the needle? So if we have a pipeline, let's say, that is not as full as we would like it, what can we do to fill that pipeline? All right. And as I was just kind of chit chatting with Alex, who still hasn't put anything in the chat, by the way, brand new agents should have a ton of questions. Let me just say this: the agents, I've been doing this a long time. Okay. The agents that I see that are most successful right out of the gate, so get their license, sign on with a brokerage, and start like really quickly getting into production. They ask so many questions that they drive everybody around them absolutely nuts. They're just like a sponge. They're just so inquisitive. They're so curious, and they stay in that mode until they get into this phase of like lightning momentum. But that learning based element is always still there. All right, Alex, it's about freaking time. All right, how to convert prospects into buyers, ways to get leads other than open houses. All right, so Alex, two great questions. Let me just recap real quick. What are our highest and best sources of business, okay, in real estate? Where do we need to put that fishing pole so that we can, you know, attract new business and transact new business? So it's really very simple. It's your sphere of influence is number one. Okay. So everybody that you know, like, and trust, and that know, likes, and trust you should have a very fresh understanding of what it is you do for a living. All right. So you've got to stay in touch with these people. So, what are some ways that we can stay in touch with people, maybe outside of just calling them once a quarter? Has everybody heard of the 33 touch? So I just really just go over that really, really quickly, that everybody that you would like to receive a referral from, okay, people that you feel like have the best opportunity to send you business because they know you, they like you, and they trust you, should be contacted, should be touched a minimum of 33 times in a calendar year. Right. So there's all different ways to touch these people. I mean, you can have a face-to-face conversation, you have a phone conversation, you can send a handwritten note, you can send an email, you can send a text message, you can send a video text message, but you could also send a newsletter. Okay. So you could start compiling email addresses and contacts and birthdays and anniversaries and all these things that are good excuses to contact people. Put those in your database and then use a system like Constant Contact to create a newsletter to just stay in touch and send it once a month. Okay. Am I leaving anything out? Christmas cards, anniversary gifts. Who in your sphere of influence has got a kid that's graduating from high school next month? All right. Things to kind of think about there. Next on the list is open houses. Like, we know, Blake and I know agents that are making 200 plus $1,000 a year just from open houses. So, Alex, to go back to your question, I think what we need to do is examine how it is you're hosting the open houses. Like, what is your open house process? And then one thing that I love is that the third thing. So we got sphere of influence. These are your biggest, easiest ways to attract and transact business: sphere of influence, open houses, and your online presence. So all of this can go hand in hand. There's some congruency in between these three things. So your sphere of influence, if you're very active on social, it's going to activate your sphere of influence. Okay. It's a way to be seen, communicate, touch your sphere of influence. The open house and the online presence is there's a really strong correlation and partnership between those two. Because let's say, Alex, I don't know what your open house process is. And the thing I think we need to kind of focus on, the elephant in the room, if you will, would be, can you yourself identify your open house process? Like, can you tell me what it is? Do you have one? If you can't articulate it if you don't have it. So if you have one, great. What is it? I'm not going to put you on the spot right now. But if you don't have one, we need to figure it out. So this is something that I could work one-on-one with you with to help you perfect your open house process so that you're getting enough business to keep your pipeline full, keep your bank account at a positive balance. We want it to thrive, right? So we want to get you out of this financial stress that you're kind of feeling right now. I'm sure the new pending helps that you just got, but there you go. But hold on real quick, because anybody got anything good they want to talk about? So Alex got a new pending over the weekend. I got a new pending over the weekend. Anybody else got anything good they want to talk about?
I got under contract over the weekend for investment property.
Nice. So 3 new pendings over the weekend. Anybody else?
No, I picked up one of my buyers that came back to me from 2017, and I spent almost 3 days trying to figure out who they were. But they're looking at about $450,000 houses in Fairhope.
What happened? How did you resurrect the relationship or dialogue?
I didn't. He texted me while I was at the boil.
Oh, he did. That's a good, I think, talking point when we're like talking about like people that hang up on us. Like, just think about how many agents have gotten hung up on and they'll just move that lead directly into trash instead of calling them a week or two later, so that's good. Teresa put in an offer last night. She's got 1 pending and she's picked up 2 listings. So I think this is good to talk about, right? Especially if we have somebody on the call that's just not in a place of momentum in their business, to let people know that, transactions are still happening and they're still happening at a high level. All right, Alex, are you there? Blake, is Alex in the bathroom?
No, Alex. Oh yeah, he's in the bathroom. I'll go get in there and get him.
No, that's all right. Yeah, go in there and get him.
I'm back, Jason.
So, Alex, if you show up at the open house, the day of the open house, and you've never seen the property before, you're not doing it right. Okay, if the first time you've seen this house is when you're rolling up to do the open house, you're not doing this right. If the first time you've marketed the house is the day of the open house, you're not doing it right. If you are not highly engaged with every person, I'm talking about in dialogue with every person that walks through the door of that open house, you're not doing it right. Okay, so I don't want to make this whole call about open houses because Teresa may never come back on, and we've got to keep her engaged or we'll lose her. So, Alex, I'll tell you, get with me one-on-one and let's develop an open house plan to help you kill it. But I just want to just kind of recap these so that you maybe have a firm understanding, because I'm not sure when you went into the bathroom and when you didn't. But the 3 biggest sources of business that are the easiest, that are the least expensive, that require the least amount of effort are your sphere of influence, your open houses, and your online presence. What I would do for anybody that is considering an open house this coming weekend, I would select it as soon as possible. So by the end of business tomorrow at the latest, you should know where you're going to be this coming Saturday or Sunday, and you should start marketing that open house right away. And it shouldn't just be that you're marketing it through the MLS, through Zillow. You're creating a single graphic and posting it. It should be way more extensive than that. Okay, so part of the problem that we need to identify in terms of why are we not picking up a buyer a weekend, let's say, or having the opportunity, one like tangible opportunity per open house. We need to examine our process. And I would say this, I think the initial part of the process should be that you select an open house that is in a hot market, like that is in a hot area, that is in an area that is going to get a lot of traffic, that you don't have to put out 35 signs to get somebody back into this neighborhood. And then the other thing, as we've been mentioning the last several calls, is to host an open house for sale by owner. Host an open house for sale by owner. That would be my first, unless I've got a personal listing, unless I have a, team member inside the office that's got just a hot listing, that's in an incredible area that I know is going to get like a minimum of 10 visitors. My default is the for sale by owner every single time. Okay. Now, in terms of online presence, for sale by owners are also a market segment that we can target to really develop our marketing skills, to showcase our marketing skills, and to provide value. Okay. So if we're helping a for sale by owner get exposure, and we're helping consumers identify, let's say, off market properties, we're being valuable. Okay. Any questions about that? Alex, what would you say to, I mean, maybe just a challenge of contacting a for sale by, if you don't have an open house selected this weekend, just contacting a for sale by owner to do their open house, just to offer the open house. Is that something you can do? You're willing to do?
Yeah, that's something I can do. Yeah.
Yeah. So just a pop quiz. What is the easiest way to identify for sale by owners and get their phone numbers? Is it driving around the Birmingham area?
Zillow.
Oh God. Yeah, I was gonna say we've gone over that a bunch. All right. So that should be like, man, like I think we've hammered that like the last 3 or 4 weeks. Their phone number is just below the description. Okay. So we can call, we can text. If you need help putting the language together in the text, just get with Blake, do a little chat GPT, whatever you need to do to get those out. Like every week, I'd be sending offers to for sale by owners. Any questions about that? Any questions? Anybody on the call today work for sale by owners or consistently get opportunities to work with for sale by owners?
I did a lot when I was at the flat fee and the 1% list. It was an easy shoe-in. Since then, honestly, I haven't pursued them as much because they were my absolute worst customers.
Oh,
So
okay.
Yeah, but Alex could do that.
Oh,
Teresa, if he needs money, like there's no law, especially here, that says you can't list for 1.5%.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I still do. I'll send out messages. I have like a little script. I just copy paste if I see them and I have the time. I'll shoot out 15 or 20 that I come across and see what sticks. But yeah, like what Blake said, you can offer anything. I just really got worn out at those two places. So maybe I'll come back to the table on that one. But for now, I'm sitting that out.
I definitely would, because I would say this. I've had just the opposite experience. They've been some of my best customers, led to some of the best referral opportunities. And it's just easy. Now, just real quick, my process is I'm texting them and going, hey, just came across your listing at 123 Main Street. Would you be open to me featuring this property on my YouTube channel? That's how I started the conversation. And then I just work it from there. So if I go meet them to shoot the house, then I'm talking about an open house. I'm talking about other things I can do. And probably before I leave, I'll say like, hey, we'll talk about commission. And, I'll say, hey, what are you offering? If I was to bring a buyer for this and they say 3%, I can say, well, I'll list this thing right today for 3%. Right now. I'll list it right now for 3%. How do I do that? How do I do that and still make money and still attract other agents to bring buyers? I got to do what Blake said, right? I got to take 1.5. If I'm taking 1.5, then the listing's got to be over 3%. But if it's a 3% listing, it's 1% to me and it's 2% to the agent that brings the buyer. Plain and simple. All right. So let's do that. Alex, let's recap just for a second, just so you know, because you asked what are sources other than open houses to get leads: sphere of influence and your online presence. So creating content, consistently creating content. Your goal should be to become well known, and well known for something specific, right? The more specific you get, the better. Got it? So what is the market segment that you are willing, even eager to master? What are you known for? Like, what do people, when they think about Alex or Teresa or Blake or Chris, what do they think about? Oh, that's my go-to for this. this person's an expert in this. So if you can't identify that, because typically what agents are is they're the jack of all trades. There's not anything specific that they're known for in the marketplace. And we use examples of attorneys like Alexander Shinara, personal injury. You slip, you fall, you call Alex. Okay. There's several insurance folks out there that say, hey, I'm your motorcycle insurance person. They just really want to narrow it down. There's several restaurants that say, hey, our steaks are the best in town. That message is way more powerful than saying our entire menu is awesome. What else is on my list here? What's on my list here today? Okay, so in terms of refining your lead generation strategies, the first bullet point on the list is networking. So the question you want to ask yourself is, how am I networking? Where am I networking? Where are there networking opportunities? I can tell you for a fact, do not join BNI. Outside of that, we can talk about some ideas. I will say this, that an open house is one of our simplest and most effective networking opportunities, but that's you got to be engaging when these people come in. Like you've got to be very outgoing when they come in. They want to work with people that are friendly, that smile, that engage, that ask them great questions. So what kind of open house host are you? Outside of that, where are the networking opportunities? What are you doing to network? Anybody?
I think just anything you can get involved in the sports, like not to be facetious with Alex, but if he could get a part of a recreational soccer league or something. Like I find that a very easy way to create community. Like for me, it's wiffle ball, right?
Mm-hmm. Blake, let's talk about that for a second. So outside, but let's talk about outside of wiffle ball. So wiffle ball is the opportunity to engage with people on the field, at practice. But what about like cookouts and
that's what I do. Yeah. I do that tailgating thing all Sunday. So we have the tent out there, we grill, we have a margarita machine this year that we're bringing. Like we kind of have an all day party thing every Sunday throughout the summer.
But you just helped, like a couple weekends ago, you just helped one of your wiffle ball teammates move.
Oh yeah, but I guess I don't look at it that way, but yeah,
so like I would, if you've made pretty decent friends with somebody on the team, I would say, hey, do you want to grab dinner? You want to do like some double date stuff? Let's get
on them outside of it. Yeah.
Let's get outside the wiffle ball field. What else? I mean, we can't gloss over the fact that there is a meetup app that we can get on and just start, go into events and things like that. But what does Alex play sports? Could he be a soccer coach, an assistant soccer coach?
Probably not. He doesn't look too athletic. He goes to the gym a lot though.
Okay.
I think there's a great opportunity.
I would say this, if you go to a gym and you're not wearing a t-shirt that says want to buy a house or something from like what is that website? There's a real estate swag store where you can go and get a t-shirt that says, hey, I'm a realtor, ask me a question, things like that. But people in the gym need to know you're a real estate agent, especially if you go consistently.
Front desk, if you can sit some cards out there.
I know a guy, Kevin Sargent. So Kevin he was at one time big into CrossFit. And a bunch of his business came from his CrossFit gym. CrossFit gyms are always doing challenges, and he would offer a prize to the winner. And then, they do a cookout or something, and it was just a big source of business for him. I've got a sticker on the back of my laptop right here. It says Blueprint Realty Company, but you can go to that website I'm talking about. I need somebody to try to Google it and find it, but you can get these stickers to go in the back of your laptop. And I would go do some prospecting from a coffee shop. I'm trying to get into a coffee shop a couple days a week. And I want people to hear me talking over the phone about real estate. I want them reading the back of my laptop. I may have an opportunity to listen in and hear somebody talking about real estate. We talked about this big time. Like, if people don't do this in 2026, I know this is a long way off, but we talked about this big time about when the presidential election was happening. Like, people should be getting out and volunteering with these elections. I mean, that's a great place to meet people. And what I love about that is that you actually have stuff to do. Okay, so if you're not a great networker, I'm not a great networker. If I go to a Chamber of Commerce meeting, I'm not going to be happy being there. That's not my favorite place to be. Trying to go up to strangers and engage with strangers. Oh, what do you do? If I go to like volunteer for a political campaign, they're going to be like, hey, put some stamps on these envelopes. And I'm probably going to be doing it with 3 or 4 other people. And we're going to be talking while we're doing it. All right. Everybody seems to want to get off the networking conversation. So let's get off the networking conversation. And let's talk about online lead generation in terms of blog posts, local guide pages. You guys have an incredible opportunity with Real Geeks to be found online for specific communities. Specific communities. This is just a not quite off topic opportunity, but it goes in line with the online lead generation. I had an opportunity to sell a property, a townhome in Everly recently. Was out there with some buyers. It turned out that that D.R. Horton house was the better opportunity for them. But I was talking to the sales folks out there at Everly, and if you haven't been to the model home or the 2 model homes in Primrose, I would get out there ASAP and take a look. I mean, this product that Signature Homes is building out there is stunning. But I asked him, I was like, hey, do y'all allow agents to come in here and do videos? And Jay Watt said, hell yeah, just give us a heads up, come on out. And they'll be in the video if you want to be. Just taking them through a model, asking about the features, the upgrades, the benefits, what set Signature Homes apart. There you go. The other thing I would be is just educating consumers on what is happening in the marketplace. Consistently doing that. What are rates doing today? Are they up or down? What are days on market doing? Are they up or down? What's sold price per square foot doing? Is it up or down? I think it might be a good example just to use this Facebook post that I made today for my new pending. I would read that if you have time and just see that it just doesn't say, I've got a new pending. It's got some really important details in there. Selling this D.R. Horton home was something that I was highly advising these clients to do for a lot of different reasons. Brand new roof, brand new HVAC, brand new appliances. They're going to be able to sleep well at night for a while, not having to worry about if something breaks. And if it does, it's covered under warranty. But this particular house had fallen out of contract, and D.R. Horton discounted at $15,000 below the next exact model that's under construction. So they're getting $15,000 in instant equity. Plus, there's 54 more homes left to be built in this community. So the prices, there's still a great opportunity for prices to increase over the course of the next 2 to 3 years. Is it their first choice? No, because it's all cookie cutter. It all looks the same. And everybody, or a lot of buyers that I work with, that's not their go-to. But people aren't in these homes. This first home they buy is not their forever home. And these people are having to do the Alabama housing loan because they don't have down payment. So this is going to be the opportunity for them to build equity so they can put a really sizable down payment on the next property, which might be their forever home, or who knows? They might call me up in 2 to 5 years and go, hey, we're going to keep this one as a rental. We've got $50,000 in equity we're going to put down on the next house, or we're going to, invest that in something else, another business, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, index funds, and we're just going to go buy another D.R. Horton house with no money down and in a new community and start building equity again. And this time we're going to get in on the ground level. We're going to get in that first phase so that we can max out these equity building opportunities. I'm just saying, people don't think this way. They're not thinking that way. They're not thinking about real estate being a wealth building opportunity. And if you could kind of take on that financial advisory role, for example, I'm looking for lake properties right now where people can buy them and make money. So the latest video I put out last week was a house that I have had personal buyers pass on because it's got a little mold in it. Mold that I could get rid of with a bottle of 409. It's not black mold. It's not toxic mold. It's just a little bit of mold. Okay. Put content out there like that. It's valuable. But plus, I want everybody to see that I'm constantly previewing homes every single week at the lake. I'm constantly studying the MLS data every single week at the lake. I'm looking for opportunities to either host events or be a part of events at the lake, flooding content, promoting local businesses. So, Alex, I'm just going to put you on the spot 1 second here, and then we can make fun of Blake or whatever, have some fun. But you spent a lot of time in that room, in the Rodrigo office, at the office, looking at your computer. If you're not studying the MLS, if you're not studying loan programs, if you're not watching YouTube videos from top agents from around the country, tell you how to do, like how to maximize your time at an open house, how to market an open house, then you're wasting time. You should be out of the office previewing homes and creating content about and around you previewing homes. So you got a question you want to push back? Put it in the chat. This, unlike the United States, is a democracy still. So we can speak freely with one another. No questions?
I mean, I don't think Alex's problem is getting leads from open houses. I think it's simply follow up and how to not be pushy, right? Like, I don't know if that's what Alex would say, but I've looked at his piece of paper and I explained to him, he's got 10 to 12 of them on there. Like, if he's just constantly hitting them with texts, sending pictures of houses, hey, you want to take a look at this one? Eventually one of them is going to hit.
So many things that you could do. I mean, the first thing I would do is follow up with them and say, hey, it was so great meeting with you and having a chance to talk to you at the open house. You should be engaging with these people that come in the open house to a level that you are gaining information and insight into their lives. So when you send that follow-up text after the open house, you might say, hey, it's great meeting to you and talking to you. It was fascinating to hear about what you do for a living, yada, 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 right? And then maybe a couple days later go, hey, this other house really is similar to the one, but you said that the house I was holding open didn't have enough storage space or enough closet space. Here's one that's got like his and her deep master closets and a flatter yard that you were looking for. So be proactive. When I'm going through my database, I'm looking for opportunities. So if I see somebody has looked at a property multiple times, I'm going to the MLS. I'm looking at the agent remarks. I'm seeing if there's anything in there I can send them. If there's not, I may call the agent and go, gosh, I've got somebody who has looked at this property 8 times online in the last 24 hours. Tell me something about it. Give me some information. Let's help me try to put this deal together. And then I would text the prospect. I would say, hey, I saw that you were looking at this property. You're showing some serious interest in it. I took the liberty of finding out this information for you. I hope it's helpful. If I see somebody that's looking at a condo, I'm going right to the MLS to see if there's any documents that have been uploaded that maybe show a rental history or rental projection, determine whether a property is undervalued or overvalued. So I'm just not, it's just proactivity. It's not waiting for things to happen. It's not waiting for a lead to register on my website or waiting for a lead to text me or call me. It's staying in an offensive posture. Okay. We've got the 3 basic lead generation avenues of sphere of influence, open houses, online presence. We can refine those by really ramping up our networking. I'm telling you, like, real estate is a relationship business. So networking needs to happen. And if you do not like to network in large groups like me, find smaller groups. Find smaller groups. Like women, for example, should start a wine club. If they drink wine, they love wine, they know their girlfriends love wine, get them together once a month. Get a babysitter, go to somebody's house where they're going to kick their family out for a couple hours and drink some wine and visit. But I don't know if Alex has an opportunity to do something at the gym, start an accountability group at the gym, start a challenge at the gym, do something like that where he is putting himself in crosshairs of a conversation or the juncture of a conversation. All right. I can tell you that we've talked about this a lot on these calls, just about how confidence helps you become more outspoken, more outgoing, allows you to position yourself as somebody that can build confidence in others. Because we think about this, I think about this a lot. The fact that, we're asking people to invest in it's a significant investment dollar wise. I mean, we need their confidence to do so. They need to be confident in us. Let's just think about if you go to a dentist and they're like, they say, "Oh, Teresa, you got a cavity, you need a filling." And the dentist goes, "Yeah, I haven't done one of those in a while, but I'm pretty sure I can remember how to do it." It's like riding a bike. I'm going to get pretty nervous and go, "Ooh, I don't know about this." I recently here's just a really basic example. I just, recently fired a transaction coordinator. There was a lot of warning signs, and I need somebody who's like responds. Like if I send you a text, bam, 2-3 days go by, I'm sending you texts and emails, you're not responding. There's a problem. I didn't have confidence in that person, so I let them go. The same thing might be happening to you at an open house or at a networking event, at a listing presentation, because you're not exuding confidence, a buyer's consultation, what have you. All right, we got something in the chat. Y'all gotta let me know when there's shit in the chat. Teresa says, can a seller dispute an FHA appraisal, or does it have to come from the buyer? Blake, what do you...
Technically, they can, but I don't know how it, like, every time I've ever gotten to the point where I was disputing it, like, I've always lost terribly, even when I thought I had really good comps.
All right, so let's talk about what are some strategies. Is there anything that we have the power to do to protect a seller from a low appraisal?
Well, what do you mean?
Yes.
What can we do?
I mean,
You can. So I had an appraiser call me just the other day for my property in Hueytown that he actually already went to appraise last Thursday. So what we started doing for all of our flip properties, and I probably should do it for my regular sellers too, is I have a list of everything that we've added to the property, everything that we've updated in the property, electrical, plumbing, new roof, things that the appraiser might not see or might not notice, granite countertops, quartz counters, whatever it might be, tile, the whole works, just sitting right there in the kitchen. Not only so the appraisers see, but if potential home buyers, they can come pick it up too, and they can see, wow, all this stuff is done. And that actually kind of helps the appraisal too.
Yeah, so we can provide a list like that of work that has been done. What money has been invested in this property to bring it up to its current standard of living, and then comps. Right? What comps did we use to justify the price? So we can proactively put that in an appraiser's inbox. We can leave it on the kitchen counter. There's a lot of things that we can do there. If we are worried that it's not going to appraise, then we could try to negotiate something like an appraisal gap, for example. But I would definitely, call the appraiser and go, "Hey, did you not see, if you looked at their comps and their comps don't match your comps?" I would call them and go, "Hey, can you take a look at these comps for me? How did you miss this one? Or why didn't you select this one?" At the very least, it would give you an opportunity to go back to your seller and go, "Hey, this is what I'm doing for you, right? This is how I'm showing you value. I'm just not telling you to accept this bad appraisal." Blake?
So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, you can technically dispute it, right? Because I assume that this one, your particular situation came in low, right? You just don't have to accept it for what it is.
I don't represent the seller. I've never had a seller.
Oh, you got the buyer.
Comps, and I pull very detailed comps and normal comps, and this particular agent is known for his stuff to always be overpriced. We got under contract. It's a FHA, so it's going to stick with the house, and it came in $9,000 under. And the listing agent wants to dispute. Obviously, my buyer does not, because he wants a house for $9,000 less. So we're not disputing anything.
But the seller would have to pay for the second appraisal if they do dispute it.
Well, they can do that all they want, but this is a FHA appraisal, so I don't.
Yeah, once it's done, it's done.
Dude, that's gonna change anything.
He can go back and look at his comps, but I don't think it's going to change.
I don't either. He sent some comps over, but they're not even in the neighborhood. And 2 of them are one level with the basement, which is not a split level. Split levels are calculated differently. And yeah, I just don't see it going anywhere. So I was like, I don't even know why I just couldn't figure out, like, why is he disputing it? I mean, I guess, like, just.
Well, he wants the 9,000.
I didn't know, like, contractually if he actually could reach out to the appraiser and dispute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, he's got a decision. His seller's got a decision to make.
Doesn't mean you have to take it either way.
Yeah. I mean, either the deal's dead or everybody's moving forward. I was thinking, I think that, Teresa, that does bring up a potential training opportunity that might be good is maybe doing this in the office one day. I don't know if we could really do it over Zoom effectively, but do the pricing evaluation of a house with a basement versus a house that's on a slab. How does that work? How is it calculated? How do you approach, coming up with a listing price recommendation for those? That might be something good to kind of tackle down the road. All right. Has anybody got anything else? I think that was everything on my list. Unless you want me to talk about Alex, I'll leave you with these. I can leave you with some key principles of real estate success. All right. So we talk a lot about consistency is king. For example, what content do you have locked, loaded, ready to go this week? So I'm doing one of my top 5 videos for a restaurant called the Pie Factory. I reached out to them to get their top 5 menu items. The owner, manager, whoever got back to me promptly, was very, very excited and was like, please tag me in the video when you do it. And I was like, absolutely, I will. I contacted a vacation rental owner and said, hey, would you be open to me featuring your house on my YouTube channel? And it was an odd reply. The owner came back and goes, oh, well, let me think about it. I'll talk to my husband about it. But if you had a buyer for my property, I'd be totally all about it. And I was like, well, gosh, I didn't know you were trying to sell it. And they were like, well, everything's for sale, something to that effect. So I was like, interesting. So it could be an opportunity to build a relationship with somebody that may turn out to be a listing opportunity, or it could be an off-market property that I can promote in addition to it being a vacation rental. So consistency is king. Do you have follow-ups on your calendar for this week, or follow-ups on your calendar for last week? Did you do an open house last week? You doing an open house this week? Let's select it. Let's start marketing it. So it's like every week, our weeks look very, very similar from week to week because we're doing the stuff that matters most. Are we making time to watch YouTube videos? Alex, if you're getting a list of 10 names on an open house sign-in sheet, but those 10 names, out of those 10 names, you don't feel like you're getting at least one viable opportunity, the good news is there's something there that we can identify and that we can fix so that you start gaining those opportunities post open house. That we're continuing conversations, that we're not getting ghosted. That is a problem that we can fix. I would go to YouTube and start watching every mega real estate agent video on open houses that I could. That would be a really high, I think, use of your time. So embrace learning, but just become a sponge for all things real estate. Ask a lot of questions, and all will be well. I've mentioned this before. I think it's stunning to me. Like when I moved to Birmingham and it was really eye-opening to find so many agents that I think it's fair to say they would probably even agree that they're hot messes. Like they're really good at building, maintaining relationships. They're just great at relationships. They're really not great at the transactional process. They always need like really valuable transaction coordinators. But these people keep sending them business. They keep coming back to them, even though it's like, wow, that was a nightmare transaction because you forgot something really important, or you didn't tell us about this, or we didn't know we had that option. That was stunning to me, that the relationships are so strong that you could seriously screw up or not exactly provide the best experience possible and still not only maintain that business, but generate referrals. From my closing I had on Friday, after I get done with this call, I wanted to give my client some time to move in and get settled, but I'll be contacting her today to ask for a review. And I'm also going to be setting her up on Client Giant. We talked about that last week. $99 a year. And that person's going to get 4 gifts from me in the mail. Every quarter, she's going to get a quarterly gift. People eat this crap up, I'm telling you. And so I don't bring closing gifts to closing. This is what I'm doing, the Client Giant. All right. Anybody got anything else? Well, I would just like to thank Teresa for showing up. It was so awesome to see her on this call. Hopefully we'll see Jenny next week. We'll see maybe Hannah
We'll have to do it again.
Hannah from Huntsville. I'd love to talk to her about her listings she's taken and what she's doing to market them. If she's putting them on Facebook Marketplace, what's happening there. But I hope you guys have a great week. Alex, if you want to deep dive on open houses, just give me a call. We'll set up a time to get some one-on-one in on that. All right, bye. See you later.